First of all, they're going to meet all their idols.
Mm-hmm. The time is coming fast.
Everyone's going to be training here.
We're very excited. Talked on the camera. We are very excited to see all you guys and girls from all over the world. This gym is definitely going to be popping. This is the place to be. Flex Lewis here, straight out of the Lair. Today's guest is a father, exercise physiologist, personal trainer, lover of life, and also the Dragon's Lair general manager. My friend of 15 years, a podcast with Justin Dees.
It's been unbelievable. Who would have thought? Who would have thought we would be like this now?
Me.
I mean, we had our dreams, right? Our vision.
Yeah.
Talked about it for years.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, we have this belief in this thing we want to create or we want to bring to life. And then we talked about it. And then in the back of our mind, we're like, oh, man, I really want this to work, And I believe in it. But I don't know. I don't think we would have thought 1,800 day passes in 1 month.
Yeah.
Right?
Wild.
That many people coming here.
Right now, we're the number one day pass in the entire country.
Yeah.
It's incredible for a private gym.
It's awesome.
I think with anything in life, right, it's all from investment from so many different, different genres, right? With the personal relationships I have with so many athletes. And then obviously when we announced that we were moving here, so many people moved all the way to, the brand that's being created in such a short period of time. It's been phenomenal.
Yeah. And also we both didn't know how we would like living here.
Yeah.
And I love it here.
I fucking love it.
It's amazing. Vegas is really cool.
Well,
amazing people. Like the amount of people we've met in this short period of time has been a huge blessing.
Yeah.
Very cool people.
We have something absolutely incredible. On that note, we have some incredible people to train here. Yes. Not just the world's best athletes, but also, people that we've now got to meet and know and see their transformation all the way from somebody that's trying to lose weight from, a 300-pound person that's walked into the door, male and female, all the way to the person who was actually trying to gain weight, just to put some muscle on their frame, to, as I said, the world's best athletes in so many different sports.
Yeah, I love the fact that people, they say this to us all the time. Oh, I was very intimidated at first to come here.
I heard that literally this morning.
They're like, I was scared to come here. And then they're like, but when I got here, I saw these unbelievable athletes, and they were all the most humble, kind, welcoming, helpful people. Mm-hmm. And now they feel like this is their home. And a lot of them don't compete, right? Mm-hmm. They have, like that lady that we talked to the other day with the spinal surgery, and she lost 150 pounds. Incredible
transformation.
Yeah, and she comes here. She loves it here.
Yeah.
Or like my client, Aiden, the 13-year-old, right? So afraid when he first came. And now we took him under our wing, and now he's a little local here.
Yeah. But if you look at the Instagram, which is obviously our bread and butter, right? We heavily support the fitness community. We push incredible stories also, don't get me wrong. But if you're looking at that and you're coming in as a first-time day pass, you're coming in as a member, most of the members, because they're local, they hear about the gym, they hear nothing but fantastic things, and then they check out the Instagram, it's like, oh my God, I'm too small to train there, or they have this perception of them being, maybe overweight and them being sticking out like a sore thumb, whatever, we've heard it all, right? Mm-hmm. And then when they literally walk through the doors, they get past that point, then they're like, wow, what incredible gym. And then when you hear them couple of weeks later, and they're literally telling all their friends who have nothing to do with the sport, well, the fitness industry, and they're telling them to come, and they're doing pretty much what a sales guy does, saying like, hey, this gym is incredible, you should join, blah, 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 whatever they're saying, obviously from their own lips and their own experiences. But
and they get to be here with the very best bodybuilders in the world on top of that.
Yeah.
People they've seen on Instagram, used to be in the magazines, right? But now these are people they've seen on social media, YouTube, and so on, that they really look up to and admire. And then they're they're working out next to them every day.
I'm approachable too.
Yeah, and that's the great dynamic. The energy here is that you're with, and not just the best bodybuilders in the world, the best MMA athletes, football, hockey, all pro athletes.
This goes on.
And then on top of that, then we have firefighters, police officers. Right? We have all these people, and the one common thing is they're all very serious about their fitness. Mm-hmm. And they have this family that supports them regardless of their goal.
Yeah.
Right? So you got regular people cheering on people getting ready for the Olympia, bones in them every day, and vice versa. And I think that's amazing.
It's a great dynamic. Again, as you said at the beginning of, us opening up the podcast, my expectations in everything I do in life are so fucking high. They're so lofty, and if many people could get into my head and see what I really want to do, they think I'm fucking nuts. But
well, they told us we were nuts opening it in COVID.
I literally, yes, and I'll spin off a story that in a second. But with that being said, everything I've ever done, I've always put that bar up so high that it is crazy, it is scary. But it's, in my eyes, is a very realistic goal. You know, dream is a dream, first of all. It's not even a goal, because a goal is realistic. A dream is like, hey, you really have to fucking aim high. But if you tack these goals one by one, that dream become a reality. It's like, when I came here to the US, my dream was to be one of the best bodybuilders in the world. My goal was survival.
Right.
Right?
On the couch in Venice.
Yeah, on the couch. But everybody's got a story, including yourself, Mm-hmm. So, and I do want to touch on that, because for all the viewers that are tuning in right now, and it's like, who the fuck is this guy? For all the ones who know who this gentleman is next to me, this is Justin Dees, the general manager for the Dragon's Lair. Long-time friend, loyal as they come. Again, we have a story on how we connected with the Dragon's Lair, but our story goes back, it must be, 10, 15 years? When was the first time we met?
2007. We were both going to the Arnold Classic.
Really? Yeah. Remind me.
Yeah, this is funny because we had a layover on our way. I think we were in Atlanta or Detroit, and we were both. Our flight was delayed, which that always happens on the way to the Arnold. There's no direct flights usually, so you're bumping around. And we were in this gate, sitting there, and I hadn't met you yet, but I was like, "Oh, hey, Flex, how's it going? Good to meet you." Yeah. And then we got on the plane, and it was one of those teeny tiny planes where there's one seat on one side of the plane.
Oh, 1 and 2.
Yeah. Really small.
I love them planes. Nobody can sit next to me if I get that one-seater.
So I'm sitting behind you. We're in the one seat side.
Yeah.
And it was like really hot on the plane. We were sitting on the plane for a while, and you were getting pissed. You had a jacket on, and you couldn't get your jacket off because it was too cramped, and you were trying to get your jacket off, and you're like you're really agitated. And I was behind you, and I was laughing.
Which probably didn't help.
Yeah. And so I like grabbed you. Were trying to get your arm out, and you could. Yeah. So I grabbed your sleeve. I was like, and I helped you out with your jacket, and you were like, "Thanks, mate." And then I saw you at the Olympia, that same year, and then because of this sport in the industry, and my ex-wife competing all the time, we would see each other over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And we just became buddies that way.
Yeah, we became friends, and then obviously relationship has progressed to
and then you came out to stay with me when you guest posed in Salt Lake City every time.
Yeah, so for the viewers watching, Justin was heavily involved in Utah bodybuilding, in that scene, fitness. His ex-wife used to be still is an IFBB professional, and when I would go on guest pose in Utah or do any event, and Justin found out about it, he'd hit me up. He's like, "You ain't staying in the hotel. You're staying with me."
Yeah.
And that was a common thing. Every time I went to Utah, I tried to make sure I didn't inconvenience him. But, you always made sure that I was well looked after, well stocked up with food and whatever food I was fucking eating at that point in time.
Yeah.
But we had a lot of fun in Utah. So much so that you took me on my first ever skydiving.
Yes.
Opening day.
Yes, first day of the season. What that was like? 2016.
Really?
Something like
Jesus,
that, like
10
6 years.
years? Or about 9 years later after us meeting? Jeez Louise.
Yeah, yeah. That was, remember, that was all of our first time.
Yeah, well, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My buddy Andrew took us.
And it was opening day.
Yep. We were the first people to go.
Literally, what opening day means is these guys who are very avid and excited skydivers will wait for this opening day season to begin, and then they all get out their chutes, they dust off the backpacks, and they literally are jumping out of a plane in hopes everything still fucking works and ties itself together. So we decided to throw ourselves in the mix opening day.
Let's go first.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So we had a tangent jump. Obviously, you know, in skydiving, you have to do several jumps before you get the you have the ability to do it on your own. Which I thought I was doing it on my own. I thought I was doing it on my own. So I kind of mentally psyched myself up to do this, only to find out that I was going to have this big dude on my back, which, you know, it is what it is. I've been in worse circumstances. But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And the nerves, I don't know how you felt, but the nerves for me when I jumped out of that plane, it really didn't kick in until I got to the very edge. Like I remember all of us kind of being in a very good mood. None of us were nervous, but
no, I was excited.
Yeah.
And I was, we were joking around, you know.
Fucking joking around is an understatement. We were just cracking jokes, laughing, and
yeah, I was excited. I wasn't nervous, but remember, I went first. Like the door opened to the plane, and my buddy Andrew's like, "See you guys later," and he just like went, and he flew out of the plane, and I was like, whoa.
Jumped out. He was actually outside the plane for a minute, hanging on the side of the plane. And then he was like, "Go,
bye." And then my guy's like, "Let's go," and I was like, "Here we go." And then it was more like butterflies.
Yeah, I remember getting to the edge. There was a guy that was filming myself and you.
Yep.
And when I got to the edge, obviously you do that, you know, slight training before you jump out of the plane. And looking down, I was like, oh my God, this is fucking real. Cameras on me. Flex Lewis kicks in. All my training went to shit. Yeah. I remember you had to lie back, curl your legs back.
Yeah, pull your legs up.
I fell like a fucking sack of shit. And then halfway through, probably 100 meters in, I was trying to correct myself without wind. I didn't have glasses on, which everybody else did. I don't know why they didn't have glasses. And gloves too. Right? So the time I went on the ground, the amount of water that was coming out of my eyes. But, you know, I'll try to get that. Can we overlay that footage, Tyus? We got it down, bro. Sorry. So also today, you know, is a bit of a unique podcast, and one that I wanted to throw in the mix. We had a guest that unfortunately couldn't make it in today, and I was talking to the producer Tyus here, and spoke to Justin. I was like, Justin, fucking so and so, no names mentioned, has pulled out of the podcast today. He wants to do it on later. Fuck him, he's not doing it. So I was like, throw me some names. And before he opened his mouth, I said, Justin, you're fucking doing the podcast. And what a great story we have, let alone us talking about the Dragon's Lair and everything else that's been going on in the last 18 months of us opening. And for all the hardcore fans that love what we've been doing out to the Dragon's Lair, it's more of a get you back on camera, an introduction, because we did do a series.
Yeah.
For the fans who loved that, my apologies. We done kind of like a, what would it be, like behind the scenes when we opened up the gym, and we kind of had that,
you know, it was just
following of the creation.
Documenting us opening the gym, getting it ready.
Nothing but fucking shenanigans. That's what it was. It was terrible.
And none of it was scripted, obviously.
That's too much going on.
There was a lot of funny shit, though.
There was a lot. So if you guys have not seen that, check it out. I think it was, I can't remember the name of the podcast, the name of the series we done. It was like kind of like behind the scenes of the Dragon's Lair. I should know this. This is my fucking YouTube. But either way, it was great. So for the viewers who haven't seen Justin in some time, it's about time I got you back in front of the camera.
Yeah.
And we'll see in the comment section below if people like you or not. Maybe we'll have you back if you do, but if not, then
we'll see. Remember, I had someone the other day tell me I was too ugly to hang out with hot chicks.
Who said that?
The guy on Instagram.
Oh yeah, bro. He's trying to, but there was a motive there.
That was good.
But with all that being said, mate, and more importantly, happy birthday.
Thank you. Cheers.
You want to say how old you are?
Sure, because people don't believe me.
How old are you?
I'm 50 today.
50.
As a matter of fact, what time is it? Yeah, I was born around noon.
Oh, so you're
like 2 hours old.
You're
50 years ago.
Yeah, 50 years and 2 hours.
It's crazy. It sounds crazy to say that.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel what I thought I would feel like at 50.
Oh, was that decrepit?
Yeah, you know, when you're young, like, you think 40's old, right? Mm-hmm. You hear people, like, you know, we see people in the gym now, and they're like, I'm old. And I'm like, how old are you? And they're like, 28. I'm like, nice try. Yeah, you have this thing in your mind, I think, when you're young, and, you know, you see people that are 40 or whatever, you're like, that's super old, you know? And then you keep aging, but inside, in your mind, your heart, you're wiser, but you feel the same. Well, hopefully you do. I'm grateful for bodybuilding and fitness, just from the sense that it saved me. I think it saved me.
How so?
Well, so when I was young, you know, I lived in a pretty violent area, and I was on my own at a very young age, about 13, and there was a lot of, you know, things in the world out that I experienced that I'm surprised that, you know, I wasn't in prison or dead. And luckily, sports helped me. And then I got into skateboarding, and I was a sponsored skateboarder, and that gave me an outlet, and like people around me, kind of like family, you know, and I had a community to be with and so forth. Kind of kept me protected. And then I was sponsored, and I was planning on going pro and all these things. And I thought, you know, and I had a serious injury, shattered my ankle, and I was, you know, I was in my teens, so I was like 16, and I had one more contest to win, and I would have turned pro. And literally 1 second on a half pipe shattered my ankle in 5 places, and they said I wasn't going to walk normal anymore. I had all this grim stuff. They did surgery, and it ended up going really well. And but I was in a cast for 9 months, crutches. I had 2 surgeries, and I was bored. So I was like, I always loved bodybuilding. My uncle used to give me these cards he would make from Flex magazine, Muscle and Fitness, for my birthday of like bodybuilders. And I would look at them, and I was like, how do they look like that? This is like my He-Man doll, you know, like the cartoons. And I was always so fascinated by it. And I thought how cool it was that they looked that way. And I couldn't figure out how they would do it. But so I was so bored, I couldn't skateboard anymore. I'm just laid up on crutches. And I signed up at a powerhouse gym in Tucson,
Arizona.
Yeah. And I just walked in one day. It was like $25 a month or something. And I would like go every day, just work out on my own. And once I got my cast off and stuff, I was like rehabbing my leg. I had a physical therapist, so I'd go to the gym and do my exercises. I started putting on muscle, and people at the gym started saying stuff to me like, hey man, you know, there was all these bodybuilders there, kind of like here, right? Mm-hmm. I was like, oh wow, these guys are gigantic, you know, and they were competitors. And this guy came up to me. He was a national competitor, and his name was Jesus Lamb. And he was like, hey man, you should compete.
Jesus Slam?
Jesus Lamb. Yeah. He was Latino. And I said I should compete. And what do you mean? You know, he's like, you know, in bodybuilding, like you should compete. You should. And I was like, I'm not doing the Speedo, you know, the oil, all that, right? Yeah. I was a skateboarder guy. And anyway, he goes, no, you should. And I'll tell you what, if you come here every morning at 5 a.m. and I'll let you train with me for free. And the deal is that when the Mr. Arizona show comes up, if I tell you you can win, you have to do the show. You have to compete. And I was like, all right, bet. And then I didn't ever think anything of it. I was like, yeah, it's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. So almost 10 months later, you know, it's time for the show. And he's like, yeah, man, yeah, you'll win. You'll win your division, the teenage, you know. And I was like, all right. So he taught me how to pose and everything, and did the whole deal, you know, dieted, everything, and I won the show. And so that was a very cool experience to see my body change. And that got me interested in this whole issue of exercise physiology and bodybuilding. And then I figured out I could study exercise physiology in college because I really was not excited about college at all. I wasn't even thinking of it.
Yeah.
And so that opened up a whole doorway for me to, I went to ASU, and it was the #1 program in the country. And I got accepted there and went there. And so then my life went this direction of bodybuilding, fitness, science. You know, I worked for the National Academy of Sports Medicine there in Arizona. And that's how I got into the bodybuilding world and the coaching side. And because I worked for Neil Spruce, who started Apex Fitness and the National Academy of Sports Medicine. He owned both. And yeah, he was a good mentor. I worked with a lot of brilliant people, and that took me down this road of, okay, there's a lot of science to this. This isn't just dumb meatheads, right? This is very, very intelligent people. And I got to work with pro athletes at NASM. I got to do all these different components of sports performance training. I did the nutritional protocols for a lot of these pro athletes we worked with. And so then I was like, I want to do this. I want to help people experience what I did in fitness. I don't care what their goal is, but I want to empower people to learn how to change their body, be healthy, be stronger, because I believe every lesson you learn in sports or bodybuilding prepares you to be a better human in life. Agree. You know, the discipline, the being comfortable with being uncomfortable, the overcoming yourself, the fear, right? The imposter syndrome people deal with, all these things, fitness and bodybuilding teaches you to overcome or to become better at, right? And the most powerful lesson, even in business or any relationships or whatever, is the lesson of being patient and consistent and dedicated to get the results you want, right? We have to do the same thing every day, day in, day out: food, exercise, sleep, supplements. And being dedicated to something for a long time without getting the result. You know, that whole, an overnight success is someone who's struggled and done all these things for 10 years, right? Until people see them as an overnight success. So bodybuilding teaches that. Fitness teaches that, right? How to be disciplined, healthy, dedicated. And like, so circling back to, okay, now I'm 50 years old, right? My first show I was 19. People think, well, Tyus, today, right? We're talking. He's like, oh, it's your birthday. Cool. And he said, how old are you, right? And I said, well, how old do you think I am? And he's like, I think I got you by 2 years, right? So that would put me at 38. And like, that makes me feel good in the fact that, okay, we can create a lifestyle and we can, our physiological age can be young for a long time. Our chronological age, yeah, it's older, right? 50, that's, who knows how long we're going to live, but that's like 2/3 of a normal life, right? I want to be 103.
That's your goal?
Yeah. Yeah. Unless I get hit by a car or a shot or whatever, right? Yeah. But,
why 103?
Because it's just like, just a little over 100, you know?
Well, what's wrong with 101?
Well, 3 is my favorite number.
Oh, fuck me.
So 103. Right. But my point is, if you can stay physiologically young,
yeah,
because of what we do and what this industry is really meant for, and you can help other people do that, then you're making a difference in the world. You're making a difference in people's lives, and that's the foundation of what I believe we do here. We wanted to create a home for people to be great. And to create a difference, even in the gym industry, right? And it was kind of like the perfect storm, right? And there was this, I remember coming to Vegas and loving the gyms that were here. Remember that Gold's Gym on Flamingo?
Incredible.
The one where Jay used to train all the time. Right?
Gustavo Bedell,
yes.
Jay, Dennis Wolf,
yeah.
Gold's and Flamingo.
Yeah, I was like, I couldn't wait to come here and go to the USA's, go to the Olympia, train at that gym.
And then that was replaced by City Athletic.
Right.
That was the Gold's Gym when that closed down.
Yeah, and like, so as crazy as it seems, right? All of a sudden they're all gone. They're closed.
Sad.
And there's this huge void here. And as our lives had it, right? You and I, we'd been talking about that for some time. And then you're like, hey, I have this tattoo appointment down here.
That's you telling me, by the way, for the viewers that are listening.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, hey, I'm going to show you something, right?
Surprise.
Yeah. And we come to this building, and you're like, well, check this out, you know? And it's like, oh, this is awesome, you know? Yeah, I just need someone to run it. And I'm like, I'm in. And there we were standing in the doorway.
I remember.
Ugly white building.
Yeah.
And you're like, really? Yeah. I'm like,
well,
perfect timing.
It was more so, I was here.
Yeah.
I was building, I think I was a building hunting, or I'd got this building. I think I'd already got it, right?
You just got it.
I hadn't told anybody but a few. Yeah. And when I say anybody but few, you know who that few is.
Right.
Lock and loaded. No lips will be moved.
Yeah, nobody even knew.
No.
Yeah.
So in the process of me and Ali being here, only the circle within a circle that knew.
Right.
You hit me up, and I don't know how the fuck we got into the conversation, but I don't randomly text me, or we were talking or something like that, and you said, hey, I'm getting a tattoo, and I was like, where you at? Vegas. I was like, who's doing your tattoo? Joey.
Yeah, Joey Hamilton.
Shout out to Joey.
Yeah.
And a friend of ours.
Yep. His wife's a bikini pro.
Yes.
He's the Ink Master Season 3 champion.
Incredible. Yeah. Very talented.
Amazing.
So I have a relationship with Joey, so I was like, oh, tell Joey what's up. But you're in Vegas?
Yeah.
Really? So I said, hey, I need to talk to you. When you free? When's your tattoo appointment? I don't know if you came before or after. Either way.
Yeah.
We met up, and I show you this building. At that point in time, it was 2 buildings because it wasn't knocked through yet.
Right.
You know, and broke the fucking wall down. But I said, give you the whole tour, give you, how my mind works. But how close was I to building this place in my mind, right?
Yeah.
How it's resulted.
Yeah.
And I remember us just doing a little tour, going around talking, this is what I want to do here. Yeah, things may have changed slightly, but I said, oh, bro, the hardest thing about all this is just getting a good GM. Yeah. And you listened. You didn't say anything at first, and we talked on. And I think you just, this is what you are to a T. You're absorbing knowledge and listening before talking. And by the end of it, I think you said something like, hey, have you got any luck have you got anybody in the running for the GM position? And I go, nah, me and Ali are about to hire next week or in a couple of weeks, whatever. And you said, I'll do it. Yeah. And I was like, you're fucking taking the piss, Smith. I thought, you got whole life in Utah. You've got, an incredible loyal clientele that have been with you for, in many cases, a decade.
Since 2003.
Yeah. And you say, no, I'll do it. I was like, Joe, come on, bro. You can't be, no. I said, no. Remember?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, that, obviously he has to work out and, all the other things too. But so we went to a tattoo appointment. I drove home, told Ali, and Ali's like, really? He wants to move? Really? And we were both like, yeah. And we're like, holy shit. So then we came to the house. Yep. We sat down, we started talking about this, that, and the other, and I told you what my plans were, and as lofty as they were, you know how I am. And you're like, no, I'm on board. Let me go home. Let me sort this out. And I think within about a month, you started tying up some loose ends in Utah, and you literally then moved, and you stayed with me in my house. Yeah. For was it a couple of weeks? I can't remember.
No, it was over like a few months because the housing market was so bad here.
You were in my house a couple of months? That's how great house guest you were. I could tell you every time Guy Sistaninos stayed in my house and how many days and how long I was fucking ready to get rid of him. But it was a couple of months, wasn't it?
Yeah, because, backtrack a little bit.
Yeah.
I guess in the whole guise of transparency, right? Like I was in Utah from 2003 until I moved here, right? In 2020, basically the end of the year, is when I started coming down back and forth. But that's the thing. Life we think we have our life planned out, and we have this idea in our mind of how our story's going to go, what's going to happen, and it will throw you these curveballs, right? And what I've learned is the quicker we can adapt to the very difficult, challenging things that happen in our life, the quicker we can adapt and grow and find solutions through it, the more successful we will be, right? So we can either be a victim and get upset and mad and bitter, or we can learn and grow. And so 2020 was probably the hardest year of my life. And I've been through a lot of crazy stuff in my life, and I'm grateful for all of it. But, 2020, here we had COVID, right, in the world, right? Crazy. We had in Salt Lake City the largest earthquake ever in Salt Lake City. Yeah, shit. And during COVID, and it was just crazy, crazy time. And then, Heather and I had been married since 2009, and in 2020, we went our separate ways. We got divorced, and ironically, it was like May of 2020. My kid's mom, because I've been married twice, right? I was married really young, had 4 kids. And their mom and I are very close, but my boys were at my house. We find out their mom in May of 2020 was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. June of 2020, I find out Heather and I are getting divorced, right? So, or separated at least, right? And so it was like, wow, what happened to me, my life? It's like, just thrown up upside down, right? And so it was a very difficult time. I spent a lot of time with a therapist, healing, trying to grasp all this stuff. And so I come down here, and you and I had talked about this. Remember, we talked about even possibly like Salt Lake City being a place we might open it.
To be continued, maybe.
Yeah. And yeah, there was just a time where I just knew in my heart, this is the thing I needed to do, and I was ready to do it, and it was what I should focus on, right? And so, yeah, it's scary to do stuff like that, and but I knew what you and I had. I knew what we had in our heart and our mind and our work ethic and our dedication to these things, and so that's why I was like, yeah, I'm in, right? Let's do this, and it's been amazing. It's been so cool.
Yeah. And I will say, like, during that time when you were going through a lot of hardship, you handled it very well. You handled it very well. I know you had a lot that you're working through. Obviously,
it was painful.
off camera.
Yeah.
I can speak more, but you dealt with it. You dealt with it really well. I'll be honest. I know, we had our moments and stuff like that, and obviously there's stories that can't be told in this podcast, as open as we are.
Yeah.
But there's something that you didn't foresee happening.
Right.
But you making the move to Vegas truly changed this whole aura that you had. Again, I knew Justin throughout the years, and obviously you had a bombshell that happened.
Yeah.
You coming to Vegas truly give you, like, in my eyes, as your boy, seeing this new lease of life that came through, so many, and came through so many opportunities too. You're like me, you love people,
right?
You love networking, and Vegas brings so much to us both. Yeah. We both have a big roller index of people that we know,
Yeah, and we've met the most amazing people here that are now like family. And I'm so grateful for that.
But even prior to coming to Vegas, what I found remarkable was when you told people that you were moving to Vegas, so many people supported you, and you were such a critical link in some regards to them being whatever it was, filling the gaps for them, and when you said, hey, I'm thinking of moving to Vegas, everybody just wanted to see you happy, which is incredible.
Yeah, it was great, the support people gave me. And it's funny now, people say, man, you are in your element there. Like, I don't really think you belonged in Salt Lake. They say stuff like that. I love Utah. It's beautiful.
It is.
But that was a phase of my life, I think, that was great. And but yeah, now being here and doing what we're doing, I feel has helped me grow even more, and opened up so many more things for both of us. It's just, I'm really grateful for it, and I'm glad we did it.
Yeah.
And there's so much more to come.
Utah is definitely a happening and growing place. Every time I go back up there, they've got, they've got the world's best corporate companies that have set up there, highly involved with tech.
Yep, they have the Silicon Slopes area now.
Yeah, but with that being said, Vegas definitely keeps you on your toes. As active as Utah is, and the various different things you're involved in Utah. There's no team, no sleep here in Vegas. It's just like fucking, it's never ending. It is team, no sleep, because you can do anything at any point in time. We always have people coming into town.
Yep.
Every week there's somebody coming from here and there. That's the people we know of.
Right.
And the Dragon's Lair definitely has been able to evolve us as individuals too. I've seen you now really sort of walk into your own with so many different projects that you're working on also.
Yeah.
As well as what the Dragon's Lair is keeping you busy with. But with that said, right now, obviously, we've got the Olympia coming up.
Yes.
And we've had 4 Olympia meetings already. And we're now a few days, what are we right now? We're a few days away from November.
Yeah,
will
like
be November.
Weeks.
Yeah, no, it will be November when this launches. So the time is coming fast, and it is. Wow, first of all, we're very excited. Talked on the camera. We are very excited to see all you guys and girls from all over the world. This gym is definitely going to be popping. This is the place to be. No disrespect to any other gyms. I just know what we're bringing to the table on that weekend.
Yeah.
And the environment we've created aside from the Olympia weekend. And we kind of had a little bit of a taste when we had the USA's here in July, I believe, of what's to come. It was kind of like an appetizer of how mad it's going to be here.
It was popping.
But what an environment you guys and girls are going to be walking into. And as you can imagine now, prior to the Olympia week, we now have the world's best, the top of the tree athletes, male, female, from every different category who are coming in here to do camp.
Yeah.
I think Rafael Brando is coming back in 2 weeks. Andrew's coming back in a week's time. Mm-hmm. We have a couple of other athletes who are potentially moving here.
Right.
I'll talk to you off camera.
Yeah.
In the comments below, guys, who do you think might be moving to Vegas next? But we have got a few big name athletes that are potentially talking to me right now about just coming here for the Olympia prep, and then potentially, I'd say that word, over prolonging their stay to become a Nevada resident. And that's really down to what we've created here. So with the Olympia as now the biggest focus that's coming, what can the fans expect that week?
Well, first of all, they're going to meet all their idols.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's going to be training here. So what we're doing, though, is we're going to have, we're putting in a lot of time and effort, as you know, into organizing the gym so that the flow, I mean, it's going to be so many people here, but we're staying open 24 hours during the week of the Olympia.
24 hours, guys.
Yeah. And, we're going to have a substantial amount of added help from a, employee standpoint. Mm-hmm. And there's going to be a flow, right, of people where we're going to have, okay, people that are visiting are going to go in this direction. Members are going to go in this direction. And we're going to have all of our new merch, right? Our entire whole store.
Lots of new merch dropping for the Olympia too, guys.
And the lifting accessories, that whole line, right?
Yeah.
And then, we're going to have all these Olympians coming here training, and in an environment where the fans, the competitors can all cohabitate respectfully.
Yeah.
Right. That there's got to be that component, but I don't believe they're going to have an experience like you're not going to be able to find this.
No.
Because here's why: if you took Gold's Venice and you put it in its heyday, in Vegas during the Olympia. That's what this is going to be, right? So, and you look at all the people coming from all over the world, and every day during that week, you're going to have the fans, you're going to have the athletes, you're going to have the influencers. They're going to be filming content here. Mm-hmm. And so it's going to be very electric. People are going to have to be patient, right, with the crowd.
And for everybody who is booking their flight right now, as Justin mentioned, the gym's going to be open 24/7, right? Or is it going to be the week of? Yeah.
Yep.
So 24/7 for all the international athletes. Because for me, the hardest thing when I was flying into Olympia was finding a gym that was open late.
Right.
And majority of the gyms close, not naming names here, but the majority of gyms close kind of early on the earlier side during the Olympia, unless it's a big commercial gym like
US or
LVAC. So it was hard for me to get that night cardio in, so I just ended up walking around the streets of Las Vegas. And remember, I was staying on the Strip, so you can imagine what I was running into with a hoodie on, fucking beanie on, shorts, and you just had all these drunken fools walking past me, hollering and stuff, and oh my God. I remember also, flashbacks to this now, so we're talking, we obviously had Neil Hill last week here as a guest. Myself and Neil would get up at 4:30, 5 o'clock, and we would walk the streets from the Vidara or the Ilara, whatever we were staying, and there'd be people passed out everywhere. And I was thinking, is this what fucking Vegas looks like at 4:30 in the morning? And you got these people who are sweeping the floors and cleaning up the streets from the night before around these drunken people who were sleeping in bushes, and it was wild. But anyway, that's my experience of Vegas, and it couldn't be fucking farther from the truth. I that's one of the reasons why I love it. It brings in a lot of people, a lot of tourism for us as a gym, but also it surprised me on what Vegas is. You don't even have to go to the Strip. Vegas is just incredible place to live, incredible place to do a lot of different things. And for me as a networker, for me as an athlete, for me as whatever hat that can interchange here, it just gives me all that and more. Because living in Florida for the 8 years I was there, I felt the last 2 years were definitely suppressed, and I was hitting the glass ceiling on what I wanted to do. But coming back and forth to Vegas, especially with Monster and all the fights, and Doug was staying out here as well. I would always come back home to Ali and say, babe, we gotta find a way of getting a secondary house out in Vegas. So Vegas is always, for all the viewers watching too, Vegas has always been on my scope of wanting to be out there. And as I was doing some things outside of the sport that pertained, that 5-hour flight to LA, whether I was trying to do some stuff, getting the movies and shit. It was just an investment in itself. And for a 5-hour flight to then have a 30-minute meeting for an hour meeting, all depending on obviously what it was, I was like, oh, man, if I only had that secondary house. Little did I know, never did I expect I would be calling myself a Nevada resident. Can't speak here. Never did I think I would call myself a Nevada resident. I said the same thing about Florida. Never did I say or think or want to be living in Florida. I thought it was a fucking hot box. I went there for the first time as a white boy from fucking Wales, and I went there in the peak of summer and done a tour, and I was like, how the hell can anybody live here? This humidity is ridiculous. Fucking moved there, found this pretty woman, and she was like, I'm living in Florida.
Ali loves it there.
She loves Vegas.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This is one of her favorite places that she's lived ever.
Well, yeah, and remember the grand opening?
Yeah.
Right? That's what the Olympia is going to be like.
Explain the grand opening for people who didn't see it.
Oh man, it was unbelievable. We didn't think there was going to be that many people, right? We knew a lot of people were coming, close friends.
You keep on looking at me like I'm fucking shocked.
But it was like, standing room only in this gym. There was literally no room to work out. We had so much support. So many people on their own dime came out to support this. And like we talked about, it was the perfect timing. There was no gym anymore that existed here in a city that hosts the Olympia, the USA, so many bodybuilding shows. And there wasn't a bodybuilding gym like this. They were all closed. And so it was like, yes, this is opening. And, you know, the mystique, obviously, of the Dragon's Lair gym in Florida with it being private and this magical camp, like this place where all these great pros trained and prepared, but wasn't open to the public. So this huge excitement about it being now a membership-based gym.
Yeah.
And anyway, so it was packed. We were in COVID. There was no masks in here. It was wall-to-wall people. We thought we were going to get shut down. We had to open the back, try to get people to go out the back. There was a line out front. Remember, there were like 3 sheriff's cars lined up, and we thought we were going to get shut down.
Wow.
But my point is, the whole bodybuilding world came and supported it, and now finally the Olympia is back here.
Yeah.
And they get to all come back and train, right?
Yeah.
And so in a place like you and I are talking about, Vegas is amazing because you have where we live, right? The area of Summerlin, beautiful, peaceful, quiet. And then you can go and have all the fun you want if you want on the Strip. So it's like these 2 different worlds. Right? It reminds me of like Scottsdale in a way. And then you have the craziness of the Strip if you want to partake in that.
I know. Well, you and I don't partake in that,
No.
thankfully, because Vegas, you can get very lost. And actually, one of the reasons why I didn't move to Vegas originally at 24, I don't know if you know this or not, but when I lived in, I was training in Santa Monica, I heard about Milos' gym, Fullerton. I went up there and I trained. Yeah. And then I got friendly with a couple that owned a Max Muscle, and I had, or so I thought, the opportunity to get involved with business. You know how my brain's been since you've ever met me. It's all about business, right? Business and bodybuilding go kind of hand in hand for me. So moving up to Reno, Nevada, I found myself in what I felt was like the appetizer of Vegas, which is nothing like it at all. It's kind of like the only correlation is they have their own version of casino there, downtown. But that move in itself truly opened up my eyes to Nevada, right? I obviously thought I was going to get a lot more from it. But the reason why I never moved to Las Vegas, and I didn't tell actually, I didn't bring this up to Jay, but I had a conversation with Jay, and he was like, you know, I was 24, you know, girls were like a priority with bodybuilding. Yeah. And he has seen a lot of people get lost in the sauce of Vegas. It's a very dangerous place if you don't have
your priorities straight.
Exactly.
In your purpose, and
it'll eat you up.
Your moral compass.
And a lot of people who have moved here get sucked into that world and end up moving out because they get exposed to a life that they never ended up wanting to go down, or a path they wanted to go down, or whatever. You just change the variable, right? For me, coming here in Vegas, I knew what my priorities were. You know, I've gone through the stage of, you know, doing what I wanted to do at 24 and having what I felt was a structure back then. I had no fucking structure. I just ate every 2 hours. That was my structure. But with the move later on in life, obviously I had a lot more things that I had accomplished. And probably had I moved when I was 24, who knows the path I would have gone on. Would I have been as committed as I was to bodybuilding? You know, I know my mindset. But again, it's like stories we can all tell. You go left, you go right. What will change, right? What's the film Butterfly Effect? You know, something changes and it just knocks this whole outlook on. But with Vegas, I had that conversation with Ali, and I know we spoke about this in another podcast, but I had that conversation with Ali, and it was her that obviously grabbed the bull by the horns, and I was the one who had more reservations in moving, just because of my daughter and everything else, but I didn't have anything that, you know, hooked me in. There wasn't like, I could really go anywhere. But I think I built this roller index up of friends, people in Florida. Maybe that was one of the other reasons why I was a little hesitant. But once I came out here and I knew, you know, again, when things started lining themselves, you know, God works in mysterious ways, right? the fact that you were in Vegas at that point in time, the fact that you were like, hey, I'll work, I'll be the GM. I see a vision, I hear it, I'd love to get, be a part of it, and it's evolved into what we got right now. And obviously, as you mentioned earlier too, the perfect storm, opening up the Dragon's Lair in the middle of pandemic, move in the middle of pandemic. People thought I was absolutely batshit crazy.
Yeah.
As a PG version of it, moving my whole family from a very open state of Florida with a phenomenal governor to then move into Las Vegas in a semi-closed state. Vegas, I feel like if there was not so much connection with California, this place would have been wide open. It would have shut down. And they tried as hard as they could to really, bounce around it. But when we had that shutdown, for me, we worked the entire time. We built this gym in silence. Nobody knew we were doing it. Obviously, but a few. And then we started trickling it out. And then we started getting the calls. Hey, you really opening a gym in Vegas? 100%. I'm moving. Fuck California. Yep. I got to get out of here. Can't get to the gym. Whatever conversation it was, we heard it. And then the grand opening. Going back to something you said, that line was down the fucking street. It was amazing. I think we have 8 or 9 buildings here in this end cap.
Right.
And the line was all the way to the last building.
Yeah.
And it kept on getting bigger and bigger. And I want to just say another thank you. I know I've said this many times, but just to revisit this, I want to thank every athlete who messaged me and heard that I was doing the grand opening and said, how can I be a part? I invited my nearest and dearest 7 people, and that then turned to 10. And somehow we ended up with 72 VIPs. Yep. Who all paid their own way, all put themselves up in hotels, and just came to support the opening of the gym and us, which truly is amazing. You don't even get some expos with 72 athletes that attend, and then they're all getting paid. Right. The majority are, at least. But we had the biggest of names that all came and supported, and then they brought their fan base, and so on and so on, and people came here with so much enthusiasm. We all went through some shit fucking times with COVID.
Like things are getting back to normal.
Horrible. And I think this is kind of a bit of a fresh air for the industry, to have a gym that was only available for my extended VIPs, if that at all, or my training partners in Florida. A gym that was created on a concept of me having a place to train with no distraction, no excuses, to then becoming something on social media. I think the gym on Instagram had about 80,000 followers, and he wasn't even open up to the public. People were just following it to see what I was doing, who was training at the gym, what MMA fighter or boxer or football player was training there, or wrestler. Because we had a lot of big names that came in to train, where they were shooting a movie and training there too. And these are all now relationships with people, with top guys that I can now call friends, that really started in Florida in some cases, and now has prolonged this relationship, into where we are, where we're going out to dinners or whatever it is, right? People see them, you see who I'm friends with outside the sport of bodybuilding. And making the announcement that, hey guys, we're opening the Dragon's Lair to the public in Las Vegas. There was so many people that had doubt that this was still going to be a private gym. And to this day, we still have people. It's like, hey, is it open to the public? Because, again, this, but the fans and the viewers listening, we would have people turn up
in Florida
week in, week out.
They would find it somehow.
Yeah, but you know what happened? Over time, people would put a pin.
Oh, and they posting.
Yeah, and it was on the top of Instagram. Yeah, it says this is the Dragon's Lair. And first of all, it didn't even have a name. It was like Dragon something. Everybody wants to be a detective, right? Yeah. And then we started having people that came in from all over the world, and
they would be like knocking on the door.
Yeah, as we're a route that goes to Orlando, that we had people just literally couldn't speak English.
Yeah.
You know, say we had
would show up.
Rafael, right? He came in. We'd have everybody that is a massive Brazilian population in South Florida, especially in Pompano Beach. So we had a lot of people, a lot of Brazilians, male and female, that would come and knock the door and literally would start crying. Like the door would open and start crying. Brazil is incredible, by the way. I love all my Brazilian fans, so thank you for that. And then
amazing culture.
We had Kamal in, so Kamal brought a lot of the guys in from Lebanon and kind of the Middle East, right? And then we've had the list goes on. The athlete would come in, exchange the athlete, whatever language, and then the fan base was there. And we had people sleeping in their cars. So I soon realized that I have something here. I have something very special that these fans and athletes want to be part of.
Well, I remember the day that we hooked up our phone system here.
Yeah.
There was no front desk, nothing. There was just phones on the concrete.
It was on the floor. We'll have to find them for us.
Plugged into the jack on the floor. And as soon as we plugged them in, the phones would not stop ringing.
Yeah.
And so I started answering them just to see, like, who's calling, right? And it was people saying, wait, are you guys really opening the gym?
Yeah.
Yes. Is this going to be open to, are you going to have memberships? Yes. And then they would show up trying to sign up before we even had the front desk.
Yeah.
Right? It was amazing.
It's incredible.
Yeah. People showing up wanting to work here. Mm-hmm. Remember Ray?
Shout out to Ray. I actually told Tyus
the OG.
Tyus the story earlier.
Yeah. He shows up just one day, right? Law enforcement.
26 years or something.
Yeah, in Connecticut. And he's like, I'm retired. I just want to work here.
Ray's like, I love bodybuilding. I was like, oh, fuck.
He's a natural pro.
Yeah.
INBA pro. Mm. But, so everyone was so ready for something like this, especially after COVID. And everyone had a super hard time during that period. Everybody. Yeah. Everyone has their story. Mm-hmm. I guess what the cool thing is to think about it. Do you know who Peter Crone is? They call him the Mind Architect. He, I learned about him from my Team 6 Navy SEAL buddy. He does basically psychology work with SEAL teams, and now he's become pretty famous, Peter Crone. Right. But he said something that I think it's just always stuck with me, and it's like, it's kind of like summarizes all this is everyone had a really difficult time during COVID. People lost loved ones. People died. I mean, people's lives were destroyed. It was all this stuff happened, and then now we can look at these like silver linings that came through it. But in my life too, but Peter Crone says this thing about the past. He says, the past couldn't have happened any other way because it didn't. The past couldn't have happened any other way because it didn't. And he teaches that to people so they can just understand, like, you couldn't change the past. Yeah. It happened how it did. So accept it and learn from it and grow and, become who you're supposed to become through it. And, like, I think that's a beautiful thing. That's what I try to bring to work every day, to the gym. I think that's what we try to teach people here is, whatever your past is, whatever your goals are, whatever you're bringing here, for, like, come here and start new and be your best.
We've already seen them stories.
Yeah, and that's why it's such a personal thing for me. This gym is because it was a component to me doing that for myself, and that's what we want everyone to do that comes through this door. Right, is regardless of what happened in the past, you can't change that. But come here and you're supported here, and you can become your best. Right, home of champions for real. Yeah. Whatever the goal is, whether it's Mr. Olympia, whether it's your best transformation, whether it's learning how to walk, right, from an injury. But that's what I hope people feel when they come here.
What is something that you've learned through COVID? And now working you at the Dragon's Lair as the GM.
Something that I've learned.
Something, again, you've gone through a few life-changing storylines, right?
Yeah.
And I've seen you. You've always been obviously a deep thinker and very thoughtful and stuff like that. but you kind of turn into like the fucking gym philosopher, man.
I love listening to brilliant people, right, speak.
Such as who? Just for the viewers.
Well, okay, like Peter Crone, or I like Dr. Huberman so much, or like I've gotten really into breath work, so like Wim Hof, and just different things in science that are just very amazing to me, or like all the plant medicine stuff going around. But I really love. I spend a lot of time focusing on healing and therapy through my kid's mom's diagnosis of cancer, my divorce, and so I guess what I learned the most is that two things that stuck out the most to me. It is okay to not be okay, and it is okay to need help. It's okay to get help. Whether you reach out to your friends or you reach out to a therapist, or both. And therapy is a beautiful thing. It's a good thing. Getting help to sort through your problems, to grow, to deal with your traumas, to deal with your things that are holding you back. You need a coach to do that, right? Someone that knows how to do that, just like you need a coach for bodybuilding or fitness or nutrition or whatever sport. So that was a very powerful thing for me. And then the other thing is I've learned, I think for 99.9% of the time, people's intentions are good and people are good. The problem lies in is a lack of communication and understanding between people that causes like the rifts, right? The problems. And if we can always look at people with a sense of trying to understand their experience or their perspective, or you and I have dealt with this in the gym, right? With misunderstandings of people, right? Because you're constantly dealing with people,
but also in a sport of egos,
right? And so, if you're able to sit down with somebody, take the ego out, and genuinely try to understand their perspective and their point of view, and even their background, and why do they see things the way they do, you can almost always come to a common ground, and you can come to a solution, right? And I think so. My life and my perspective now is, I don't focus on the problem. I focus on the solution. Like, I'll acknowledge the problem, because you got to acknowledge that there's a problem, or else you're never going to progress, right? So you got to be humble enough to say, okay, there's a problem. Or if a problem is presented to you, you look at the problem and you're like, okay. And if you can refrain from emotional reaction when you're presented with a problem or a confrontation or whatever it is, and you can stop that automatic emotional reaction you've been programmed to have throughout your life, then you can analyze it, and then you can look for a solution. And you can do it with open mind and understanding of the problem or the individual or whatever is at hand. You can create a successful solution and an outcome. Or you realize that that person's not willing to do that, and you can just accept that, right, and move on. But so that's what I've learned over the last couple of years in a way, and I'm grateful for all the stuff I've gone through, because it helped teach me that. It helped me to have way more self-control. And that's why I enjoy the things we've talked about. These people that talk about, emotional maturity. And that's why I love breath work, because it teaches us how to do uncomfortable things and control ourselves. Control our emotions, control our mind.
So how often do you do breath work right now?
I do it twice a day. Okay. There's a Wim Hof exercise I do. It's 11 minutes long. And it's a process of breathing, inhale and exhale, breathing. And then after 30 breaths in this particular exercise I do, of deep diaphragmatic breaths, after your 30th breath, you blow out all your air and you hold your breath. And it's very difficult to hold your breath after breathing all your air out.
Yeah. And
then you train your body to one of the hardest things to do is to make yourself not breathe when you're trying to breathe. It's like a fear.
It's a survival mode. That's why.
Yeah, and that's why people are claustrophobic, right? Or it initially causes anxiety when you're sitting there making yourself not breathe and your body's trying to breathe. But it teaches you how to calm yourself, your mind, your body, and focus. So it is a form of meditation. But you're also using this physiological component of controlling your body with your mind. And so you hold your breath as long as he tells you to. He walks you through it. It's a thing I listen to. And you do this after you have a breath hold. You inhale, you hold your breath for 15 seconds, and then you repeat those 30 breaths. You exhale, you hold your breath for a longer period of time. And so this whole process is it's a process that they've researched now. Dr. Huberman talks about it a lot as well, because he's a neuroscientist, and he's very into breath work and dopamine and all our neurotransmitters and oxytocin, all these things our body creates, and how do we do it through breathing. But I do it twice a day because I do it right when I wake up, or sometimes on my drive to work. I'll do it while I'm driving. I listen to it in the car.
Shit.
Yeah.
You doing this when I'm calling you?
Well, no, because then I couldn't talk.
I wouldn't know. I'm fucking rabbiting on sometimes. You don't even say nothing.
But I started doing it while I drive because it's like more challenging, right? To hold your breath and be calm while you're driving.
That's a fucking big leap of faith, mate. You got an M4 out there, and you don't drive slow. That's for sure.
Yeah. When I do the breath work, I do.
Oh.
I go in the right lane, chill mode, Wim Hof mode, right?
That's 80.
Yeah. And so what it does is it increases dopamine and adrenaline without your nervous system going into what we call a sympathetic state, a fight or flight state. Yeah. So you're able to, and they've researched Wim Hof when he does this in a lab, and he's able to create, and our bodies are able to create dopamine, and you can increase your adrenaline without going into a fight or flight state that would produce negative side effects. So it makes you alert. It makes you, it lowers your heart rate throughout the day and your blood pressure. So I do that in the morning, and then I'll do it mid-afternoon.
Do you use that same technique when you're doing, ice baths? Is that the same style of breathing, or is that a different kind?
Similar.
Style?
You do what, usually with ice baths, you do what's called box breathing, which is an inhale as long. You inhale for a certain number of seconds.
Right.
Then you hold your breath for the same number of seconds, and then you exhale for the same number of seconds. That's called box breathing, and that helps, like, because, when you're in cold water, you're instantly going to go like, and people chest breathe and they hyperventilate. And so the whole idea is to control that entire physiological response to very uncomfortable things. Cold. I do take a cold shower every morning too.
Oh, really?
Yep. After I do my breathing, I get in the shower, turn it as hot as I can, and then turn it all the way cold for at least 2 minutes.
So you end with cold, not hot?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
I just had a cold plunge delivered to the house.
You got to set it up.
Yeah, I know. They dropped it right outside my fucking house and drove off. I came home, is this cold plunge on a crate. Yeah. No way of moving it.
We need to film that. We need to do it.
Shout out a cold plunge, though. Yeah.
And then you only need to do it for 2 minutes to get the physiological benefit from it. But people say to work up to it, you start with like 30 seconds.
So I have never, I tell a lie. I've done ice baths and stuff like that before, but I've never used, the cold plunge in this capacity before. And this is a very exciting chapter because it goes back to, our earlier conversation about our biological age. Mm-hmm. So now as I'm retired, I'm really focusing on some of the cool things, and I think I can, work on slowing down the age, cellular. With the cellular. What's the term?
Well, are you talking about like from a cellular level?
Yeah, cellular level.
Yeah, like your physiological age. Cold therapy actually helps regenerate your mitochondria.
Yeah.
Right. So you're actually becoming younger by doing these things physiologically, right? And you can do it at any age, right? Wim Hof is old, right? Like he's up there. He's in his 60s, but you're right. All these things now, and that's what I love about this, like breath work. All these things are free and they're natural. And they work. Like when I talk to people, some people are into it, some people aren't, right? Mm-hmm. Some people I talk to about breath work and they're like, yeah. And they're like, get your hippie voodoo stuff out of here, right? And I'm like, cool. But if someone really, I'm just fascinated by it because of my background and my education with the human body, right? Yeah. But here's something for everybody, okay? Well, this is a little caveat that Dr. Huberman teaches. We all deal with anxiety nowadays. We have more stress than any time in the history. And here's something that he teaches to stop an anxiety attack. Or to stop. Let's say you're driving and someone almost hits you and they're like, fuck you. They flip you off, whatever. And you go into this like, I'm going to fight you mode, right? Or a fight or flight scenario. Or let's say you just have a crappy drive or you're getting anxious or you're feeling angry or a panic attack. You can literally stop it physiologically by doing a simple exercise. You do 2 breaths in through your nose, kind of forcefully, I'll show you, and then you do 1 slow exhale.
Show me.
And you do it for like 10 circuits, right? So you go.
Also, it's a double blast.
Yep. 2, the second one's longer, but it's 2 inhales through your nose. It's like, and then you slowly exhale for like 8 seconds. Yeah, and you repeat it.
Viewers, I'm breathing through my nose.
Hey, we could do the ASMR, right? Where we could do the breathing and they could do the microphone, the ASMR microphone, and you could talk like that.
What the hell is it? What is that?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
It's this phenomenon where people listen to people like chewing food in a microphone. I'm not kidding.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
the crinkling of paper.
Carly Muscle was getting into that when he's eating all kinds of craziness on
yeah, and they have a special microphone for it.
Oh yeah, it's big like in the Asian culture I've seen. Like
there's YouTube channels that have millions of followers.
People will pay for these people to watch them eat.
They listen to the sound of like pop rocks
and
or chewing. Yes, so you could do it.
You guys are into that shit. Subscribe below.
Yeah.
But slightly going off the fucking rails, yeah. So the cold plunge, is something that I'm going to now start implementing into my day to day. Whether I use it every day is another thing, but I am committed to the process. And a friend of ours, as Sean Fridas, opened up Project Wellbeing, and he's just invested in some incredible.
Sean's the man.
Yeah, he's obviously he's got a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah, he's
and
brilliant.
that guy has got more degrees on his wall than anybody I've been in circulation.
Yeah, he's a great practitioner,
and he loves learning. He puts himself back in school to learn something else. Additionally, trying to grow his empire, working on the who's who in every different sport.
Right.
He's working with some incredible clientele, but he's always investing back into knowledge.
Right.
And I can ask him any question about pretty much anything when it comes down to that realm. And you just got to see what he's created here in Las Vegas. It's a completely different gym to here at the Dragon's Lair. It's
that whole recovery room.
Yeah, the recovery aspect. That's what I go and do my recovery. I work with Sean when I was obviously my biggest too.
Yeah.
And incredible.
Well, he's a very good manual therapist.
Incredible therapist. And his investment into his athletes has now transcended into the investment he's put into his gym.
Yeah.
And he's created this whole recovery room with cold plunge, infrared saunas, hyperbaric chambers,
red light therapy,
float tanks,
right,
etc., saunas, etc. So I'm actually working with him right now on discovering what we just spoke about. Our physiological age, biological age, and then trying to see if we can slow father time down and work on some cool things. Now, I haven't started yet, so that's kind of a podcast for another time. But step one has been the investment in, a few different things. I'm getting a plan set up for me to do and put it around my lifestyle. Ali also works with them over there at Project Wellbeing. Yeah. So again, just because we are a gym here in Vegas doesn't mean that we don't support others, because this is a completely different space in itself. He really targets he works with
Sports
a lot of football,
yeah.
a lot of football players, a lot of UFC fighters. Yes, they come to the same gym here too, and they do their strength and conditioning, but they also work with them over there.
Yeah.
In more specific stuff.
Yeah, it reminds me exactly of what was our environment at NASM in Arizona.
Yeah.
He's created that exact same type of facility.
Yeah. Tell us about NASM, because that is something that you were heavily involved with.
Yeah, it was such a great opportunity. I was actually running a gym in Utah, and we got the Apex Fitness system. This was like in the 90s. And Neil Spruce, one of the founders of, honestly, he was probably one of the first bodybuilding coaches ever. He was at Gold's Venice, and it was called Nutritionalysis. And he did the diets of like Rich Gaspari, Gerard Dente. He worked with Flex Wheeler. He worked with Michael Hearn.
OG.
Yeah, he worked with all these guys.
Did he have a room next to Gold's Gym? Like, did he have an office there?
Yes.
I met that guy. He worked with a lot of NBA guys too, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It was called Nutritionalysis, and then he turned it into Apex Fitness. And there was this system you would put in gyms, but all science-based. It was amazing. And so my gym, it was a powerhouse gym in Utah when I was living there. We got the system, and I went and got the certifications and all that, and I ran it. And it did extremely well. And so Neil was like, what are you doing over there? You know, and we became good friends. And I met his director of education. His name was John McDermott. He was a bodybuilder from Florida. And he won like the collegiate nationals and all that. But and there was a guy named Lenny Parasino, and we worked with a guy named Tom Purvis, who's a biomechanist, a physical therapist. He helped consult with Cybex and Free Motion and a lot of companies. But so we had this body of people that was Apex Fitness, and then the science of the biomechanics was the National Academy of Sports Medicine. So Neil Spruce bought it from Bob Goldman, who started it. Bob Goldman, big in the anti-aging world, and he started NASM. So Neil took it and then combined it with Apex as an educational body. So my point is, Neil finally asked me to work for him in the Apex side. And then when I was at ASU in my degree, NASM hired me to do research for them. So, and that's when a guy named Michael Clark took over, and they created what's called the OPT model, which is what is used now. And so I had to pull a lot of research and studies to help validate the OPT model. And I worked at the corporate office. I did the nutrition for a lot of the athletes there, and I trained people there. And it was an amazing experience. I learned so much from just super brilliant people. And then after that, they wanted us. They were going to move the corporate office to California instead of Arizona. And I had kids, and the cost of living in California was just too much to move for what we were making at NASM. And so that's when I moved up to Utah and opened some supplement stores and kind of went that route and had my own personal training gym in Utah, and then my coaching company and all that. And then, I was there from 2003 until now, right? Until I moved here. But NASM really gave me this amazing experience of education. And like, we worked with Olympic track team, we worked with pro baseball, football, basketball, what basically very similar to what Sean's created, Sean Freitas. That's why I love his facility and all the equipment. We had the same stuff, the Kaiser equipment, all the sports performance stuff. And even though I love bodybuilding and I love body composition type training and goals and fitness, it was great to work in a sports performance environment too and expand my experience in that field. But I prefer to work with people on a body composition spectrum, right? Fat loss, muscle gain, whether it's fitness just for personal goals or bodybuilding. I enjoy that process more.
Yeah, many of the people that you work with at NASM have all, many of them have come through the gym too. It's great to see you connect with people you've worked with or, worked on whatever that educational piece was at the time. Because I've overheard conversations too, when some of your old colleagues have come in and you've introduced me.
Yeah.
And you've worn them hats is what I'm getting at. You've excelled in that line even prior to getting the bodybuilding, which obviously has helped you become an incredible coach, which we haven't even talked on. and also as you can't get my words out, diversified your whole palette, working with sports performance, right?
Right.
So now you can truly train anybody in any realm as a coach. And when I say that, like quotation marks, this everybody's a fucking coach these days, but you have the literal paperwork that shows that you are who you say you are, not somebody that's just put their coach in the Instagram bio, right? You know, you've been there, you've walked that, you've put yourself through school, and now gone full circle. You're now working with athletes here at the Dragon's Lair. You know, from Aiden, you just mentioned, from a very young teenager who's just getting into the sport or lifting the first weight, who's just done his first competition this past weekend.
Yeah, he turned 14 the day of his competition.
Yeah.
Props to you, Aiden.
Props, bro. We give everybody love.
He set 4 state records.
Did he really?
And 1 national record.
Fantastic.
His first powerlifting meet.
And he literally walked into the gym for the first time, 6 months ago?
Yeah, and he, you know, he's 6'2". At 13 years old, he was 6'2".
Yeah.
238 pounds. And, the most dedicated 13-year-old I've ever seen. And we got his body fat down.
Yeah.
You know, he worked really hard on his technique. But, I was able to work with him, right? Love that kid. Yeah. And his mom is so supportive. And she loves the gym, right? Everyone took Aiden under their wing here. Everyone gives that guy support. All the world record holder powerlifters that train here.
Joe Sullivan.
Yes.
Brianni.
Yes.
All them guys who are world champions. But again, that's my point, right? You've worked with, not only are you the GM of the gym, but you work with, and you can work with pretty much any genre, whatever their needs are. You know, Aiden for me was coming into the gym just to get his form down, his technique down. Just take yourself back to the first time you stepped into the gym. And you know, bless his mum too. She comes and sits in the gym, waits for him when he's done his session with you.
Yeah.
But then from the 13-year-old all the way to, you know, high class athletes that you've trained, to, you know, the IFBB Pro League, pumping out pro cards with the various athletes that you work in there, from bikini, men's physique to bodybuilding. You know, so with that all said in that chapter, working at the Dragon's Lair, what has been one of the biggest challenges that you faced coming from a manager in your previous gym in Utah?
Yeah.
Running supplement stores, being a coach, and having a very successful coaching business. As the GM here in the gym, and for all the gym owners, what would be one of the biggest challenges that you found working here?
Biggest challenge is time management. Definitely. Because you wear so many hats here at this gym. You know, I'm here a lot, right?
Yeah.
And I love it. It's not.
You're more than me.
Yeah, I'm here about 12 plus hours a day, right? But I love being here and I love doing it. But I find myself, I'm very driven on tasks and things. So I find myself missing meals. I find myself neglecting like essential things, right? Or I have a hard time breaking. I have a hard time, like when I'm training, doing my own workout, right? People talk to you, and it's not that I don't like it, but it's this. My biggest challenge is compartmentalizing my time and getting my things done that I need to get done, and balancing my job as a manager, my job as a coach, and then my personal life, right? Making time for even just myself.
Kind of all blends into one, right?
Yeah. And so it takes somebody with a lot of patience, right, to be involved in my life, because I will work myself to the bone, right? At times.
Don't make me sound like a slave.
But it's like something I love to do, right? And then I have to be like, oh, whoa, you know, you need to take some time to do your things, right? Like your laundry or your
I've sent you home a few times because you'd be fucking
like, bro,
sick.
Go home. Yeah.
Take that hacking home, bro. It sounds like you're dying.
So, yeah, that's the hardest thing I think in life is managing your time properly. And being able to say no when you need to say no and not feel guilty about it, right? And then, but all in all, I love being here and I love doing what I'm doing, but I need to fine tune getting my time dialed even better, right?
Yeah.
Being even more efficient with my time.
So we got a couple of questions before we wrap this up from the fans. What training mistakes do you see people doing more often than any?
I see two things now in the industry. I see there's so much information out there now, and there's so much misinformation out there. People can't decipher from it. And so I've seen this new, like, neurotic behavior in people that are so afraid to
train hard.
Yeah, that the influencer thing has gotten out of hand. I'll just say that. The days of going to the gym, putting on your headphones and grinding out your workout, I don't see that anymore, right? I see
far between, bro.
I see a lot, and that's our world now, right? The phones, the internet, all that stuff. But yeah, I don't see people. I see people in bodybuilding. They think there's some magic plan, there's some magic diet, there's some magic drug protocol, or whatever people are doing, versus just consistent, super hard work and repetitive eating, sleeping, and training, right? And yeah, I don't see people training extremely hard anymore. I see people looking for this new tweak of an exercise or this or that. But I've also seen a lot of clients of mine that have worked with other people or just looked online and read a whole bunch of stuff. They're like, they'll be afraid, like, oh, if I don't eat immediately, if I don't have this magic whey isolate immediately after I work out and this supplement protocol, I'm going to go catabolic, or I'm going to lose my muscle, or, and it's just this like neurosis where they're just like freaking out and stressed out so much about all this information they're taking in that's saying, you have to do this and that. And I'm like, no. You need to calm down and you need to just enjoy the process of working out, eating healthy, and your body is way more complicated and advanced than you give it credit for. And it makes up for a lot of things, right? And so I try to get people to calm down and stop stressing so much about everything being perfect. The perfect rep scheme, the perfect workout, the perfect meal plan, the perfect timing of nutrients, and all this stuff where they're like stressed out if they don't do it right. Because look, life is never going to go how you plan, ever. So if you can just understand how to adapt and have a more calm, like perspective on fitness, right? And be more flexible with what's going on, I think people will enjoy it more. I see people so stressed out, or like, they think they have to do fasted cardio in the morning because it's for the best for fat loss. Yet, people like Lane Norton are brilliant people that prove, no, just get your cardio in. Quit stressing about, was it fasted? Did you have essential aminos perfectly in the right dosage, just sipping during your cardio to, stave off being catabolic, and all these things that don't really matter in the grand scheme of things, right? They're marketing.
Yeah.
So that's a problem I've seen. The other thing I've seen is people, and maybe people are going to get mad about this, but I don't really care.
Oh, I love it. Like, fucking go ahead, blast.
People are like, oh, I want to turn pro. I'm going to get my pro card.
Oh, I love it.
Right? And I'm like, hey, how about you work out for 6 months straight? How about you follow a meal plan and don't drink alcohol and party for 6 months? And then let's see how your body responds. And let's see if you even enjoy this lifestyle enough to do a show. And let's see if you can win an overall at a state level show. And then if you can blow everyone away at a state level show and make a statement and win an overall, then let's discuss doing a national show. And then if you do well at a national show, which you're almost never going to turn pro your first time at, for multiple reasons.
Unless you're just a fucking one-off Andrew Jack freak.
Right.
Which is a
Exactly.
1%.
Right. There's very few people in the history of this sport that have ever done that. So how about you do these things first instead of, saying, and all those things make a great successful experience in the industry, right? Instead of saying, oh, I have to be pro by this date or it's all for naught, right? And it's like, okay, let's say you do turn pro. Okay, great. Well, guess what? You're not going to make a whole bunch of money because you just got a pro card. You're not going to make any money. As a matter of fact, you're going to spend more money, right? Because now you got to travel more, right? You got to compete more.
You get your name out.
Right. And so now you just turned pro. Now, okay, now let's talk about, are you going to be a top pro? Are you going to win a pro show?
Yeah.
Right? So I just think people need to understand that not everyone's going to be a pro, right?
I think there's a lot of... Sorry. Go on.
And not everyone's going to be Chris Bumstead. Not everyone's going to be Andrew Jack, right? Or, Angelica, right? Those are prodigies, right, in this sport. They have a genetic gift. They have a mindset, a work ethic. They're like Kobe and Michael, right? They're right. You, Phil Heath, right? Jay, Ronnie. All these people have the very, very best genetics in the world and the very best work ethic. And they did it for years before they became champion, right? And nowadays there's this bullshit mentality of, I'm going to do a show and then I'm going to turn pro.
Oh, right. They've already planned it
Road
out.
to pro card. That
I'll turn pro. I'll turn pro, and then I'm going to do this show. It's amazing,
right? And I'm like, so those are the two things that I think are big problems in the fitness industry right now. And honestly, if somebody wants to make money, what they should do is look at themselves as a business and a brand, and figure out how to make money off being in a fitness world and being a personality and having something that's unique. And if they want to be competing and trying to turn pro during that process, great. But understand you're your own business, you're your own brand, and that's how you're going to make money. You're not going to make money because you got an IFBB pro card.
Yeah.
There's thousands of them a year now.
Tens.
Right? They hand them out a lot. And so I just think people need to look at reality of this industry and don't create some weird fantasy about, I'm going to do this for a few months and then I'm going to be a pro.
I think that's the issue. There's a lot of jaded mindsets that have now entered the fitness space where they're kind of talking as if this is destined to happen without even putting any fucking work in. They're like, oh, I'm going to turn pro at the end of this year. I sit back and I hear these conversations from people who have either just started the fitness journey or getting into it.
Yeah.
And they're more concerned about the angle of their tripod than they are about the set.
Yeah.
And, I came up, as did you, from a very hardcore mentality, spit and sawdust gym.
Yeah.
The thought of setting up a tripod in one of them gyms back in the day, I mean, I would be lynched.
Yeah, you would have got your ass beat.
I would have had a slap, no question. Even just taking a photo after a workout, that's one of the reasons why I don't have many in my first original gym, because it just wasn't the thing to do. There was this
aura of... It didn't need to be documented because you just lived it.
Yes.
Right? And that was enough. You don't need validation from anybody because you know what you just did. You and your training partner, you know. And you live it and you do it every day. You don't need anyone else's validation. That's the thing. That's the problem is everybody today... Not everybody, but a lot of people have been programmed to need external validation. And what they need to do is start keeping promises to themselves. The more you keep promises to yourself, the greater your self-confidence. And you don't need anyone else's validation. They need to stop looking outside for their self-worth and their validation, because that'll never happen. It'll be an empty road. Right? It's not going to come from money or fame or likes or followers or how many people love your photo or your video. It's going to come from you keeping your promises to yourself every day, no matter what comes up, no matter what obstacles are there. You stick to your goals, your purpose, and your promise to yourself. And you don't need you get to a point where you don't care who sees it. You don't care who saw your workout or who saw your, you know what's under your hoodie, right? That's why I love the fact that you've always been covered up, right? And you know what? I tell people, if you're big, you look big, covered up, right? You don't need to peel off, right? You're huge, period, right? So that's the thing. We come from an era where you go in, you do your blood, sweat, and tears. You know what you did, and you don't got to tell anyone about it, right? And you know what? Come show day,
that's all that counts.
You peel off, you step on stage, and that's where everyone saw what you did.
Exactly.
Right? And nowadays, everyone documents it, and I embrace that, right? I embrace.
It's a new age.
Yeah, and it's great for certain things, for business opportunities, for, life is going to progress, technology is going to progress and all that stuff. But like I said, we just did that email about tripods, right? Because it was getting out of hand. Yeah. It was blocking people in the gym. It was taking up space.
Some of these people bring in tripods the size of a small child, right. And they've got two. It's what the fuck?
It takes up the space of another gym member.
Yeah.
Right? And we're like, no, that's not what we're here for, right? If you want to go in the posing room after and set up your stuff, or if you want to film some stuff in the gym, great. Get your content, but don't take up the space of another gym member or block equipment or impede anyone else's, workout, right?
Yeah, with that said, too, we've been very accommodating with you at the gym. We understand the old school mentality of getting in an incredible workout. We also understand the new age of where we are right now, right? A lot of people make a lot of money from YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and everything else. And we have these athletes, influencers here at the gym, and we try to accommodate, right? But when it comes to some guys, girls, there's been some crazy productions where we've had one person come in with lights and tripods, and I was like, yo, we can, we love the fact you're here and doing this, but we don't love the whole production because you're truly not allowing our members, because we have to remember too, we have a lot of day passes, we have a lot of tourism here, but we also have members that are,
day in, day out, this is their gym.
And they truly love this place, right?
Yeah, they do.
And in the evolution of this gym, and where it's come from, we're always investing back, with my partnership with Arsenal Strength, my partner being a partner in Arsenal Strength. Every time there's a new piece, we're the first to get it.
Yeah.
So we have, sometimes I don't even know what's coming. It's like, Flex, there's a delivery here, there's a new piece. I'm like, oh shit, okay, open up the back door. Fuck, where are we going to stick this? I'm like, Justin, move this over here. Maybe, that's not going to work. And we're literally playing Tetris with the wrong pieces here. But we're always investing into this gym. And obviously there's a lot of exciting things that are coming in the future.
Yeah.
Ali does not want me to mention this, but tough luck. We're looking at expanding the gym.
Yes.
It's very, early stages.
We have to.
I'm doing the law of attraction right now. I'm throwing it out there. I want next door. Yes. So, that is the I would say a future plan of ours. We're in the very early infancy stage. So I don't want people blowing me up asking me when is the expansion happening, because it's not yet. It's just a conversation. But if that was to happen, there'd be a huge evolution of the gym.
Massive.
And we're able to fill in the gaps of what we don't have right now, as well as continuing the theme of what we have right now too. We have pretty much, we have the whole Arsenal Strength line here, and synergistically what we don't create and make at Arsenal Strength, we've been able to work with other companies and fill in the gaps. And as I'm a gym rat, as you know, and as you are a gym rat, and as I know so many people who have gym equipment companies, I'm always nosy. And my wife is on fucking Zillow all day long. I'm on gym pieces. I'm looking at gym pieces. So there's a lot of pieces that I would bring in that
handpick.
Some old school pieces that I would love to fill in the gaps on you at the gym. I mean, people come here and they say we have everything, but we do. But I always feel like we can up the bar. We are known as being one of the best gyms now in the world. Right. So to keep that, I would say that level, you got to always keep leveling up. You can never be complacent. You've always got to keep on creating something new,
growing.
something shiny, something new. And that would be a very exciting project for me to get my teeth into, because I love that shit anyway, as do you.
Yes.
And I love knocking walls down.
Because it's our own playground.
Holes. Yeah, picking holes in walls and making new places to play. But yeah, that's obviously a conversation right now. But in the last question, and in ending the podcast, where do you see the future of the Dragon's Lair?
Well, you know, you and I have had a lot of talks about the direction, right? I mean, we get to decide. That is the cool thing. But I think the first component is what we just said, making what we've currently created even better and growing what we have here, this destination spot, to being the best bodybuilding gym in the world. And so there's like phase 2, right? And then from that point, it's like, okay, what's the best direction to go, right? Another destination spot? Or can we duplicate what this dynamic is and what this business model is from, let's say, a franchise standpoint? Is that possible, right? Is it possible to duplicate what's here with other people? And that remains to be seen. But, you know, I know what's sounded most interesting that we've discussed is, okay, where would another destination spot be, right?
I'd love for the fans to comment below on where you want us to potentially open up next.
Another Dragon's Lair gym. But I think it's important for everyone to know that this is just the beginning here, right? And what we want to do is expand and make this better. We're not satisfied yet. I mean, we're very happy and completely. I'm so excited for what we've done up to this point, but this is just the beginning. And so I think it's important for people to know we want to make this location exponentially better, and we're constantly working on that. And, you know, we're learning too, right, as we go. This was brand new experience for all of us from this magnitude. Mm-hmm. And, but yeah, I want this to be far beyond what we have right now. And as you talked about, now we can kind of discuss it more with people, but expand. And then, okay, where do we go from there from the stance of the brand, right? It'll be interesting to hear what people say. I know we always have people asking, are we going to franchise or is there going to be other locations?
And we've had a lot of people that have just literally turned up at the gym and said, hey, here's my money. Yes. I want a franchise. And I'm like, well, it has to be location, right? The cliche verbiage, but, you know, it has to be a tourist spot too. For me, this isn't just as open as many gyms and slap on the Dragon's Lair logo. No, this has to be just as unique, just as sexy as what we've created here in Las Vegas, right? So I've got a couple of places I would love to look into in the future, most definitely. But I'd love to hear what the viewers think, and please comment below. You know, there's nothing that's truly not or will not be considered. Right. You know, again, we've had many different states. I don't want to mention them because I want them to comment below. That have come here and literally have said, "Hey, we'd love to open the Dragon's Lair up. How do we go about doing that?" I was like, "Well, we haven't unfortunately set up a franchise package, and we're really not there yet." Again, for me, it's not about the money; it's about the brand and the legacy the brand creates. Yeah, and the integrity of it. Exactly, right? Maintaining that. And this really, because we all are in itself unique entities to the gym, you would have to really set that and try to duplicate what we've got here with other athletes in that area, whatever it would be. Right. So it's a big undertaking, you know. Again, to create what we got here it would be hard, but depending on where that place is and the people that are affiliated with the gym, athletes, right, celebrities, whatever else, it can be done. But right now, this gym has grown exponentially. 18 months we've been open, not even 18 months, right? Let's see, March of 2021. Yeah. So now we're in October, right? That's my guess, 18 So months. That's 19. Okay. Mm-hmm. And in that time frame, we've been able to, you know, create this bad boy that everybody now gets to call home or calls their home from home when in Las Vegas. So from me to you, my friend, you know, you are not only a great and loyal friend, it's also your birthday. Happy birthday again.
Thank you.
But, you know, I wouldn't have been able to create this Dragon's Lair without, you know, yourself and Ali. You know, we all play this incredible role here. We've all got our strengths. I certainly don't have your patience to do a lot of the stuff that you do on the daily. Goes back to what you were saying earlier. Wim Hof might have to be my new best friend with a breathing technique. But outside of the laughs and jokes, mate, you know, as we said, you're here first thing, and you're one of the last to leave. You truly love and bleed this gym. I don't think you own any other clothing other than Dragon's Lair gym clothing, because you live in it, which truly shows just how much, you know, this gym means to you, mate. So from me to you, bro, thank you so much for all you do on the daily and then on the out of hours, because your phone is always on.
Yes.
And it truly means a lot to me, my brother. I love you. Thank you again. And I've truly enjoyed this podcast. It's been fun.
Me too.
Any parting words?
No. Just thank you. And you know, one thing, I guess, we never know how long we're gonna be here, so just honestly live every day. If you can, just focus on living every day like it will be your last, because we don't know. So I think that would be my best final words is live today like you don't have tomorrow.
Very powerful.
Yeah.
That's Straight Outta The Lair with Justin Dees, the main man here, GM for the Dragon's Lair, and we're out.